Welcome to Freedom Cast, where your hosts, Jordan and Miranda, show you how to get just a little bit more out of life. Are you ready to leave normal behind?
All right, Freedom Casters, thank you so much for joining us today. Today on the show, we have Nicole Yudin. She's a
Did
friend.
he pronounce that right?
Oh, maybe that's a good question. I should know.
Okay, good.
Okay, I got lucky there. But a friend of ours, Jenny Moats, is running for Man or Woman of the Year for LLS. It's the LLS Man Woman of the Year. I think that's the official title. Is that correct, Nicole?
Yeah, it's the Man Woman of the Year campaign.
Okay, cool.
But Jenny is running for Woman of the Year.
Yes,
correct.
Specifically.
And we had Jenny on a previous podcast, and it was really a great episode. And she decided to ask us to join her team to help fundraise and to help, get awareness out for this LLS Man Woman of the Year. So she connected us with you, Nicole, and so we are very excited to have you on.
Thank you.
And just to begin, we would love to just kind of hear your story. You can kind of explain about your son, Zach, and how with this Man Woman of the Year, they have a child, a little girl and a little boy. And the nominees for Woman of the Year, I guess you can say, adopt the little boy, and that is your son, Zach. So if you want to just, I'm sure you can explain it better than we can, and just give us your story.
Okay. Well, thanks again for having me.
Sure.
Yeah, Zach. Well, I guess I'll just start from the beginning. Zach, back in February 2014, was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And we found it through an MRI. He basically stopped walking. And of course, at that age, his speech wasn't perfect. And he would tell me, like knees hurt or legs hurt, but we couldn't find anything. His blood work didn't come back anything super unusual. But anyway, so we found it through an MRI. We got the diagnosis, and then basically it was just immediately starting treatment. He went through about 10 months of very intensive treatment. We were back and forth at Levine's Children's Hospital at the clinic there. We were there sometimes, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, just kind of depended on the protocol that we were following for his treatment. And then following the 10 months, he went into a maintenance therapy where we were there once a month, and he received treatment for the next, 2+ years. And then in June of last year, 2017, his treatment protocol ended, and he is in remission, and
That's
he's
fantastic.
doing great.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing great. So yeah, it's been a long road, but he's doing really, really well, and we're just so thankful for that.
That's amazing. So, Nicole, how did you guys get affiliated with, I guess, LLS in general, or how did you get affiliated with like the Man Woman of the Year campaign?
Well, we first started our involvement with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society back in 2015. We decided to create our own family team for their campaign called Light the Night, which is a big, annual campaign that they do up till November. And so that's how we met everyone here in the Charlotte office. Got to know them. They got to know us. We love them, by the way. There's
That's
some
great.
really amazing people, supporters. So anyways, and then we were just approached by them to see if Zach would want to be the Boy of the Year for this year's Man Woman campaign. And we said, absolutely, if it's gonna get people to support this cause, then we were all for it.
That's awesome. And do you have any other kids, Nicole?
I do. Zach has an older brother named Josh. He's 10 and in fourth grade.
Awesome. And how old is Zach now? Is he?
Zach is he's 6 now. So yeah, so he was diagnosed at 2.5, but he's
Okay.
6 now, and his he has an August birthday, so he's almost 7.
So has he really enjoyed being the boy of the year? Has he kind of, grown into that title, or does he even realize kind of what it means? Or
Well, yeah, he's definitely, I think, growing into it. Since he was diagnosed at such a young age, he was not really familiar with leukemia, cancer. Going to the clinic just kind of became a part of our life. And it's just what we did. And so now, as he's getting older, he's definitely getting more aware. He's heard those words now, kind of what they mean. But he definitely, he's been really good about, taking his picture and, smiling. He's kind of hamming it up a little bit. So.
Okay, good. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He's very special, being boy of the year. That's a really cool opportunity for him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And his brother is, he's like, I'm the brother of the year. So,
Yeah, perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about how you handled the treatments and how you juggled just everyday responsibilities? I can just imagine how much more pressure and stress that adds to, already raising 2 kids isn't easy. But just how did you manage all of that, and even continuing now, even in remission, I'm sure it's something you continue to think about. Just, how did you manage time management, just the whole thing?
Well, I think, once we got the diagnosis, it was like, okay, what do we do now? And we were going to do whatever we had to do. There was no question. Thankfully, I was not working at the time, so I did not have to leave a job. And so I could dedicate my time to Zach and his treatment and all of our clinic and hospital visits. As for Josh, thankfully he was a kindergartner at diagnosis, so he was in school. And basically my husband and I are he's just my rock, and we just figure things out together. Luckily, through Steve's work, he had some flexibility to work from home, so he could, be home if I couldn't be home to get Josh, from school or whatever. So we just somehow did it, because that's just
You
what
find
you
a
have to
way.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was thankful that I could be, with Zach at every single appointment, every single hospital visit, which is not always the case for other families.
Yeah, that's good that you were able to, be there with him every step of the way. And because, that's definitely, it's challenging for your family as a whole, but especially for Zach being a kid and going through that, having your mom there, which I didn't realize this is perfect timing for this episode because Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Just love that.
Yeah. We spent a lot
Happy
of
almost
time
Mother's
together.
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's cool, Nicole, that you were able to move your, because you weren't working, you were able to be there with him. I think I'm guessing in that kind of thing that family is just huge for the healing process, especially probably for a younger kid, and you just being able to be there with him. I think that's just excellent. That's great that you were able to do that. I can imagine a lot of people out there having like a rough time, of course, when hearing that, but then like, oh man, like I'm going to have to juggle all my responsibilities and kind of figure all this out. Did you have difficulties juggling other responsibilities once you once you found out, I mean, of course it's all about him in that situation, and it's all about trying to figure out, what to do for him. But then you have to realize you have to stay insane. You have to stay sane too, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you realize too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, the focus was definitely on him.
Hmm.
But again, my husband is obviously we've we always had a wonderful relationship. We'll actually be married 20 years this year.
Oh,
But
Congrats.
wow. That's
I think
awesome.
I think actually this might have even brought us closer together, and so we just figured things out together. When there was an opportunity for me to get out, go play tennis or something. That's what I like to do for my own mental health therapy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I would go and he would come and visit with Josh at the hospital or the clinic, and so we just managed together. Josh was only 5 at the time, and so he wasn't involved in a ton of different activities. It was pretty much kindergarten, to and from school, and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
luckily we didn't have a ton that we had to try to figure out. It was just, you know, mom and Zach go to the clinic, Josh goes to school, and we just kind of, day to day with that.
Yeah. And I think that's just awesome that you have been married for 20 years. That's something Jordan and I are really passionate about because we feel a marriage gets kind of a bad rep, and it's just something that can be so powerful because like you said, your husband was your rock during that time, and even though you went through a lot of challenges, that just brought you closer, and now you're even stronger together. And I think
Yeah.
that's just great.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
We
Yeah,
love hearing
thank you.
stuff like that.
Yeah, because unfortunately, something like this, it doesn't always go that way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's just been to have him and just us together. I think we can just about handle anything.
I'm sure after going through that, I'm sure you guys can handle just
Yeah.
about anything.
So Nicole, what's the plan now as far as his? I know you said he did his last treatment. I think you said June of last year. It was
Hmm.
just kind of regular checkups from here on out. I mean, me and Miranda are pretty ignorant to, the disease and LLS in general. We've just gotten
Hmm.
some. Jenny's kind of just given us some introduction to kind of what it's all about.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, kind of like, what does life look for you now, in that way?
Well, okay. Since June, when his treatment protocol ended, soon after that, he had surgery to remove his port. He had a port that had been surgically placed into his chest, and that's
Mm.
where they would hook up the IV and all this kind of
Okay.
stuff. Well, anyway, so then once that was removed, which was just, about a week or two after his treatment ended, he became quote unquote a normal boy, which of course he won't ever be normal as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Um, but that certainly was a big step. But since that time, we've been going to the clinic once per month. They stick his little finger and check his blood counts, give him kind of the once over, sort of like a well check.
Mm.
Okay.
And as long as the blood work comes back okay, which thankfully it has been, then we just move on to the next month. Now, this June will, of course, mark a year since being off treatment. And so then they will start spacing out our appointments to every 2 months.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's kind of the way it goes. So then after this next year, we'll do every 2 months, assuming everything is good. Then we'll go to every 3 months, I think is kind of
Gotcha.
how it works. Yeah. I don't, I try as much as possible to just kind of, think about sort of the present moment as opposed to, looking so far ahead. So, but I do know that Dr. Kaplan that we saw, honestly, this past Wednesday, a couple days ago, he's like, yeah, we're going to go to 2 months pretty soon. And Honestly, that doesn't make me super happy just because I kind of like those monthly checks to make sure everything's okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But,
Yeah.
but we'll do what the doctor tells us. So.
Yes. But it sounds like Zach is very brave. I do not like doctors at all or needles or
Right.
anything. So that's, that's great that, he can even handle that at that age. I think I was like 16 and my dad had to go in with me when I got a shot once. So
Did you almost like pass out or something?
it was, I was way too old. The doctor is probably like, what is wrong with you?
Well, everybody handles things differently. So.
Yes. Could you talk maybe a little bit more about just the different support groups that you've kind of had, different people in your life? Because we've talked about your family and how your family unit has grown stronger. But maybe like within the community, within the LLS community, what other relationships and what other community bonds have kind of helped you through this whole process?
Well, obviously, my husband, Steve, who I don't know if I mentioned his name, but he, of course, has been a huge part of this. Both of my parents, actually, thankfully, are both retired, and they have come up, very frequently to be with us as much as they can. And so we've also, we're very close with my parents, and I think this just kind of brings us closer. We have other family members who've also been extremely supportive, although they're not able to be here in Charlotte with us. But obviously they are very supportive as well.
Uh-huh.
I think, I actually, when we would go to the clinic, a lot of times people will sort of bond with other families and stuff going through this. But I have to admit, we kind of sat in our little curtain area and Zach would be on the iPad and we kind of kept to ourselves. It's just recently that I've gotten to know, Ray, who is the mom of the girl of the year, Sophia, and
Okay.
she's just a lovely woman, and she's actually introduced me to a support group at Levine's that I'm gonna join and be a part of. If I can then help anyone, in this journey. I'm not sure I like that word journey because journey always sounds nice. And
Yeah.
being on the cancer journey is not really nice, but
yeah, no one really wants to jump on that journey.
no.
I don't know if there's a nicer word for it, but
yeah, no, it's kind of we're now members of a club who nobody wants to be members of. So, but anyways, it's just really been recently that I've kind of gotten to know some people through all of this. And of course, also one of the other LLS groups is the Moms in Training group that I don't know if Jenny maybe mentioned before, but it's another wonderful group of ladies who support the mission. And so, yeah, it's just some amazing people out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Nicole, have you always lived in Charlotte? I'm just curious if you are a transplant or a native.
We're a transplant. We've been here since
like most, I guess, right?
We've been here since August of 2006. We moved actually down from New Jersey, but before that, we were in West Palm Beach, and we went to both my husband and I went to school in Gainesville at University of Florida. So we've been around, but we love this area.
Gotcha. We do too. 'Cause Jordan's originally from Maine and I'm from Pennsylvania, so we love.
I just keep going further south.
I know, yeah. We'll find ourselves in Florida maybe.
Yeah,
eventually.
So, we definitely love it here. It's it's like you get all four seasons, and so yeah, no, there's so much around here. So
yes, it's great.
Yeah. So Nicole, what message do you hope to spread? I know we talked to Jenny about what we could do to try to help her with her, LLS campaign. And what we could do. And she was like, hey, you should interview Nicole. Like, she loves to tell her story. She loves to talk about it and just share where she's been. And I think it's so cool. And you're obviously very, very well spoken.
Oh, thank you.
So what's your kind of hope and message to spread about the disease or about family and how to cope with it? I think, it's so cool that you come from such a strong family core. I think that is just such an important piece of it personally. But if you want to talk just maybe to that a little bit.
Okay. Well, I think, one of the biggest things about, cancer and different types of cancer is being aware. And I think we're all aware now. I think we're aware that children get cancer, that, there's all sorts of different types of cancer. And now it's really about taking some action. Whatever action you can do is going to make a difference. And I really believe that. Obviously, like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, their big thing is research and their commitment to raising funds for research. And so, especially for someone like Zach, the treatment protocol that he was on are medications that were developed in the 60s. And there just has to be some better things out there. And I think the research is what is going to get us there. And so, when you're fundraising, to me, it's not about how much you fundraise or how much you donate. It's just that you do, if you give what you can. And I think that's the biggest thing, there's no amount that's too small as far as giving. But then you can also get involved in other things. For instance, like, if there's an organization holding a bake sale, donate some baked goods for the bake sale. I mean, all that stuff helps along the way. And so it's about, getting out there, taking some action, and, just doing what you can. And I think that's about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we just agree with that. Taking an action, even if it seems small, it can turn around and make a huge difference. If everyone just did a little bit, it really accumulates and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I think that's a great message.
Yeah, because you give $20 and you tell a friend, I gave $20 to this, and they're like, oh, hey, what's that? What did you give $20 to? It's almost even like you said, it's not about the $20. I mean, $20 isn't really going to change a lot in and of itself, but it's that awareness, and then being able to talk about it and being able to talk about, hey, I had part of my budget this month, I gave a little bit to this, and then there's just that conversation that ensues around that, and then people may not know what's going on. So it's cool.
Yeah. Well, and I look at it this way. You can have one person donate $20 or 4 people donate $5 each. It's still $20. So,
yeah.
So
that's very true. So we're going to put a link in our show notes for people who do want to give and donate to LLS. We have, like we said, Jenny has been nominated for
Jenny Moats.
Jenny Moats for Woman of the Year for LLS. And we, if you're like, well, I don't know about this Jenny person, they can definitely listen to her podcast and just, hear what a light she is too.
And I'll put a link to that episode as well for anyone listening to this.
Yeah. And definitely give to LLS, help her campaign. Nicole, it's just great to hear just how positive you are and how strong you've been through, this whole ordeal. And I think you just hit the nail on the head with your message. And it's, hopefully this inspires some people to take some action, whatever you can do.
Yeah, thank you.
Do it, because every little bit helps.
Yeah, every little bit helps. It definitely does.
All right, Nicole, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners about your story or about what we're talking about here?
No, I think I'm good. They've probably heard me long enough.
Yeah. No.
We could keep talking to you for hours if we wanted to.
Yeah, we really do love having new people on the show just to get to know people's stories. Everyone has a story to tell.
Mhm.
And I think it's amazing what you're doing and how involved you are. And just doing stuff like this, like you said, is going to bring that awareness. It's going to bring people giving just a little bit and then telling their friends and talking about it and just kind of figuring all out together because we can't do it. We can't do it alone.
No.
Yeah, and we should also put a picture of Zach because he's a cutie.
Oh.
Okay.
He could be a little stinker though too.
Oh, I'm sure. He's got that, little glint in his eye.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on with us.
Thank you for
This
having
was
me.
really great talking to you. And we wish you all the luck and all our love for you and your family and Zach.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, Freedom Casters, thanks again for listening. Thanks again to Nicole for being on our show. If you would like to support LLS, we would absolutely appreciate your support and just your donation and then your time to just learn a little bit more about it. You can go to jmring.com/support LLS. That's just jmring.com/support LLS. That's all you have to do. All right, we will talk to you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day.